Congratulations, your child has chosen the flute, or maybe the band director chose for you, or maybe you want to get the flute. Well, today I'm going to be helping you make that choice. There's tons of them everywhere. You just go on Amazon and there's going to be tons available from all kinds of price points. And my mission today is to help you find the right one. Stick around. We're going to be going over the world of flutes. Howdy everybody, my name is Andrew King. We are here at Alamo Music. Don't forget to visit us at alamomusic.com where we have these instruments all available for you to check out and kind of peruse and see what you like. Because today we're going to be talking about the massive world of flutes. There's just so many of them, so many different options, and there can be some hard ways to look into it. Now look, you're going into this blind. There's going to be some ways that you want to get one where it's going to be kind of an inexpensive purchase. Maybe you don't want to spend too much money, or maybe you want to get the best one available right off the bat because you're really wanting to do this. And I'm going to have to kind of give you an idea that maybe looking into a middle ground is going to be the way to go. Now, there's tons of different brands out there, so you do want to be careful that you're getting the right one because there's going to be a lot of different kind of source points. Now, it's easy to just go online, Google, Amazon, look up beginner flute, and you're going to be seeing a ton of them, going from like $250, $5,000. You will find the ones for $20,000, and we'll get there in a second. But when it comes to flute, it's really, really important to kind of think about why you are doing this. This is a long hobby, a long profession. And so you want to get something that's going to be reliable over a long period of time, that's going to be working for you rather than against you in that short term and long term. And for that reason, I'm going to really recommend, if this is going to be for a student that's going into 6th grade band, always talk to your band director or get this band supply sheet that they get from 6th grade. That's going to be the one to look at because band directors are going to recommend that you get specific brands that most of your local music stores are going to have available for you for either rent to own, financing, purchase for a decent discount cash price. And it's going to be really important to get that one because that's going to be the one that's going to be trusted by not only your band director, but the instrument that your child's going to be using through all of middle school and high school, if you don't like step up. And we'll get to that in a second. So when it comes to that, it's really important to kind of trust what's going on there. On that sheet, most likely, Yamaha is going to be there. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos or anything that goes on this channel, Yamaha is one of my most popular, one of my most favorite, and probably the most consistent brand that I have going on this channel. Yamaha goes across the entire band and orchestra line from violins, violas, cellos, flutes, band instruments in general, and there's just tons of different instruments to check out. And when it comes to flutes in general, they have a myriad of options available for the beginning student, and we're going to kind of go over that today. Now, there's 3 main ones to look at when it comes to the beginning student on flute. Now, when it comes to the kind of flutes that are available for the beginning student, there's going to be 3 main ones to look at when it comes to a beginning student model. One is closed hole, one is going to be your offset G, and one is your inline G. Now, there's big differences, well, kind of minor differences, but big as far as what your student's going to be able to do. I am always going to recommend, if your student has smaller hands, go for the offset open hold flute. The offset G is basically where the G key is moved down just a little bit, as well as some other keys and everything, just so that the middle ring finger on your left hand is able to reach that key a little easier and cover the hole properly. Now, it is important to note that you will be getting flute covers on the flute pads, right, on the keys that are going to be able to plug the holes. It's called flute plugs. But basically, these flute plugs are going to make it so that it's like training wheels on a bike. It's making sure that the kid can do that. Like when I was a kid, I was a tiny dude. And when I tried to play flute, I had a really big trouble because my fingers were so tiny by covering the hole completely. The fat on my fingers and my fingerprint and everything just didn't do it properly, and my fingers just couldn't reach. So we had little flute plugs on there that made it so it's a lot easier to play it, and I can over time get used to that fact as well as grow into the flute from that. Now, the other one is basically the closed hole flute. These were super popular for beginners back in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and for good reason because they're very consistent. You don't really have to worry about holes or anything like that. You're going to work the whole time. You can't lose any kind of flute plugs or anything, and they worked out great. But what ends up happening is you're going to lose access to a lot of techniques and vibrancy from the flute itself when you get into the next part where you're in like high school and whatnot. So a lot of band directors are just going to recommend getting the open hold flute and getting the flute plugs right out the gate. That's going to be like your Yamaha YFL TIGS 262, your YFL 282. If you're looking for other brands and everything like that, great brands are going to be like from Jupiter. Anything from Conn-Selmer is fantastic for these. Just make sure that you're looking for anything in that open hold area. Now you can find a lot of used ones as well, and you'll probably find some great prices on closed hole flutes. Just be very careful about which ones you're getting and make sure they're working correctly. What can end up happening is you can go online and find a flute for like, like 200, 150 bucks. That's closed hole, maybe from a brand like Armstrong or Olds. Just some of these kind of more more popular. Bundy is also a really good one for that fact. There's really older flutes that, while they are tempting for the price, you might be spending a lot more that you would have been spending on a brand new one on repairs themselves. The metal's old, they use a lot of soldered parts, it's gonna run into a lot of problems, and they might need new pads. Repairs on a flute are pretty expensive, so it's really recommended that you go for the rent-to-own option on a used one from a local music store if you're trying to spend less. You'll get coverage on kind of any kind of repairs, maintenance, and replacement that needs to happen on the flute over the period of time that your children use it. It's very similar to owning a car. You're going to need to be able to take care of the instrument, bring it in for checkups every once in a while, get it a little lubricated and all that kind of stuff over a long period of time in order for the instrument to move correctly. It's all moving parts, it's very delicate, it's easy to mess up, and unfortunately, your kid is going to be the one using it. So it's always recommended for children, if you're going to be going into the band program and you don't know if they're really serious or going to stick with it over a long period of time, definitely go for that maintenance and replacement plan. It's going to cover it for a long period of time and make sure that you're not spending like $250 a year on the instrument in just repairs. Now, the other cool thing that you can do is look into any other models, like going into like the intermediate and professional. It might be tempting. Maybe you have the funds available to just go and get straight into that professional flute. The only thing is, and I definitely recommend this, the reason that the beginner flutes are what they are is because they are easier to play. One, they do come with the flute plugs. The flute plugs are very necessary for a lot of people when they're beginning. And the other thing is the head joint in general. Professional flute head joints are made of very delicate metals, and they're hard to take care of. You're going to be taking care of like getting any kind of, there's like silver plated ones, you can even get ones like platinum or like titanium and stuff like that. That's when they start going into the latest like $15,000, $20,000 ranges and stuff, just absolutely ludicrous prices. But if you get even like the standard Yamaha professional flute, what ends up happening is that you're going to be needing to supply a lot more air than you would have known to start with. And that can lead to some bad habits with the flute. Now, professional flute head joints respond better. They just do. They are much better flute head joints, but they take a modicum of experience and knowing what to do already to properly play that flute and do what it's supposed to do. So that's why it's really important that have that beginner flute where it's easier to play with better metals as far as longevity and not breaking as easily or bending for that matter, that will develop safer habits in a better environment for the student or you that you can use over a long period of time. So always make sure that you're doing the right thing as far as getting an instrument that's going to help you rather than work against you over that first bit and make it just a rougher experience to enjoy the flute in the first place. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Flutes are really cool. I do a lot of doubling gigs on these, and it's a lot of fun just to play around on them, and it's a really cool instrument to get into. It's probably one of the most beautiful sounding instruments in the whole library of band instruments and orchestra instruments, so definitely one worth to check out. I'm excited for you and your kid. Definitely get in the comments, tell me which one are you guys deciding on getting. I definitely recommend going with the Yamaha. Anything from Conn-Selmer, Jupiter, anything like that are great as long as you can get like protection for them. They're very delicate instruments, so it's really easy to, kind of get a little ahead of yourself on that one. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and have a wonderful day.